Good morning. This past weekend, when I was out at the club, I noticed that there was an aircraft that was flying around and the FLARM was not transmitting. I went over and I took a look at that aircraft to find out why the FLARM wasn't transmitting. And what I found was this right over here. Here is the FLARM, and you can see that the FLARM antenna was disconnected from the FLARM, thus explaining why the FLARM wasn't transmitting. Now, of course, if the FLARM isn't transmitting, it's not doing you all as nowhere near as much good as it should be able to do for you. But what I noticed is this means this was not detected by the person who did the daily inspection of the aircraft. And I wanted to go over a couple of things that you can do when doing a daily inspection of a FLARM that'll catch this kind of thing uh, before you fly. Now, most of you are going to be flying the K-21s, and those have little FLARM LEDs in them. In the bottom left here, we see the GPS light is lit. That indicates that the GPS has a satellite lock. It knows where you are so that it can start to work, because a FLARM can't work without its GPS lock. And then above it, we have the RX and the TX lights. What those two lights do is they tell us whether it is receiving anything and whether it is transmitting anything. Now, just because the light for TX is blinking out doesn't mean it's transmitting, because if it doesn't have an antenna, then it's not going to transmit anything effectively. And the RX light, that's actually going to give you a pretty good idea of whether or not it's receiving information from other FLARMs. Now, the best thing for you to do is try and confirm that you see the tow plane in front of you before takeoff, or other gliders on the line if you have a FLARM display that shows more than one target and this, that, and the other thing. But in the K-21s, just look for that RX and that TX pre-flight. But as part of the daily inspection, there's a little bit more that we can do. And I'm going to switch over here to my phone. Now that I'm sharing my phone, let's take a look at how we can confirm that your FLARM is actually transmitting out of a connected antenna. That's with the SOSA telemetry site. The SOSA telemetry site is cloud.sosaglidingclub.com/mobile when you're on mobile. Here we go. And I'm going to go down to the glider tracker link. On the glider tracker link, I can see all of these aircraft here, and I see a lot of shadows from earlier aircraft that the site had seen. I'm going to clear those out by clicking these and refreshing. The view, and I'm going to go into settings, and I'm going to turn the track down to 5 minutes and 5 minutes with a reset of the local cache. Oh well. So if I was sitting on the ground and I was getting ready to fly in SXN, I can tap on SXN. It tells me that the current power out of SXN in the upper right-hand corner of this screen here is telling me 37.8 decibels. For PNN, it is telling me 38.5. For Echo Zulu, it is telling me 34.2. And for Mike Sierra, it's telling me 33.5. Now, for any aircraft that is on the ground at SOSA in the area of our antenna, I would say that anything above a 25 is going to be good enough. But anything below a 25, I would consider that to be a snag of some sort. Over here, you can see JR. That one's got a power of only 8.8, no, down to 2.2. And that's because it's up in the air and flying around. So the antennas aren't always pointing at the antenna on our main hangar. That's why its power is going to go up and down. But pre-flight, as part of your daily inspection, just give a click on your aircraft and make sure that your power, like here for SXN, is above about 25. Additionally, I have now updated the bot that announces power-ons of FLARMs every day. So if we go down into the social media channel, and we see that SXN powered on for the first time today at 39.8 decibels. So from a daily inspection perspective, that FLARM is working fine in terms of transmitting. How about its range when it's flying? In the very upper right, beside the heart, there's a tiny little menu that I can tap on, and then I can say K-Trax signal range. This gives me a report for SXN telling me how well the FLARM has been working in flight. The first graph, in green, it tells me the average FLARM, and in blue, it tells me how well the SXN FLARM has worked over distance in terms of meters. So that you can see here, there's about 10 kilometers is where it dropped off, and then it started getting picked up again at about 14 kilometers away. And you can see that the power for it was a little bit below average for most of that. And down here on this circle chart, you can see where there's any dead zones in transmitting. So the FLARM for SXN transmits a little better to the left and right than it does straight forward, possibly because the antenna might have some instruments in front of it. So anybody who's on the line can check the transmission power of a FLARM just by clicking on it there and seeing its transmission power history. What about its reception power history? Now for that, I'm going to switch over and share this screen again. Over here, let's say I want to get the history of Bravo Papa. I know that the hex address for Bravo Papa is C0857 Charlie. So back here on this page, I can choose file and select a recent IGC file from that aircraft and generate a report on its reception range. The other chart I showed you was its transmission range. This one is its reception range. And you can see that the reception range for Bravo Papa is about 2.5 kilometers all the way around. So that's below average for a Canadian FLARM and definitely much less than the manufacturer's recommended minimum safety range. But for doing a daily inspection of a FLARM, at the very least, confirm that the antennas are connected, confirm that you're getting a receive and a transmit and a GPS signal, and then take a look at your aircraft on the glider tracker and confirm that you have a transmit power on the ground of at least 25. That one's 28. That one's 34. That one's 31. And that's all there is to it. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great day.